The world's wealthiest 10% of individuals are responsible for more than 66% of global warming since 1990. The world's wealthiest 10% are responsible for more than 65% of global warming over the last 35 years. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching The Electric Viking. Great to have you with us. I'm thinking now, maybe I'm responsible for some of that global warming. I have taken quite a few plane rides. I've got to make up for that. Only EVs, right? EVs, batteries, solar, that's my thing now. So hopefully I can make up for some of that. How the rich consume and invest has substantially increased the risk of deadly heat waves and drought. They're reported in the first study to quantify the impact of concentrated private wealth on extreme climate events. Basically, this study has said, hang on a minute, let's find out where all this heating, this warming is coming from. Who's doing it? We link the carbon footprints of the wealthiest individuals directly to real-world climate impacts, said lead author Sarah Shong, a scientist at ETH Zurich. It's a shift from carbon accounting toward climate accountability. Compared to the global average, for example, the richest 1% contributed 26 times more to once-a-century heat waves. The richest 1% contributed 26 times more to once-a-century heat waves and 17 times more to droughts in the Amazon, according to the findings published in Nature Climate Change Journal. Emissions from the wealthiest 10% in China and the United States, which together account for around half of global carbon pollution, each led to a 2 to 3-fold rise in heat extremes. So the wealthiest 10% in China and the United States are responsible for a 2 to 3-fold rise in heat extremes. Burning fossil fuels and deforestation have heated Earth's average surface by 1.3 degrees Celsius, mostly during the last 30 years. Shong and colleagues combined economic data and climate simulations to trace emissions from different global income groups and assess their impact on specific types of climate-enhanced extreme weather. Now, I want to make the point, guys. A lot of people who deny climate change, they are crazy. They're insane. Now, I understand people who say, I've heard this comment before, I don't know what percentage of climate change comes from humans and what percentage comes from natural cycles of the planet. That's legit, because I don't think anyone really knows the exact percentages. But to deny the world is heating up and that humans are partially responsible for that, you've got to be pretty stupid. You've got to be one of the flat earthers, right? Anyway, the researchers also emphasized the role of emissions embedded in financial investment rather than just lifestyle and personal consumption. Climate action that doesn't address the outsized responsibilities of the wealthiest members of society risks missing one of the most powerful levers we have to reduce future harm, said senior author Carl Friedrich Schleusner, head of the Integrated Climate Impacts Research Group at the International Institute for Applied Systems Analysis near Vienna. Owners of capital, he noted, billionaires, could be held accountable for climate impacts through progressive taxes on wealth and carbon-intensive investments, and they could be sued in the future. That's happening in New York. Earlier research has shown that taxing asset-related emissions is more equitable than broad carbon taxes, which tend to burden those on lower income taxes. Recent initiatives to increase taxes on the super rich and multinationals have mostly stalled. I wonder why. Last year, Brazil, as host of the G20, pushed for a 2% tax on the net worth of individuals with more than $1 billion in assets. 2% is not a big number. But G20 leaders agreed to engage cooperatively to ensure that ultra-high net worth individuals are effectively taxed, but nothing has really been done since then. In 2021, nearly 140 countries agreed on work toward a global corporate tax for multinational companies, with nearly half endorsing a minimum rate of 15%. Conveniently, those talks have stalled as well. Almost a third of the world's billionaires are from the United States, more than China, India, and Germany combined, according to Forbes magazine. According to anti-poverty NGO Oxfam, the richest 1% have accumulated $42 trillion in new wealth over the past 10 years. The richest 1% accumulated $42 trillion in new wealth over the past 10 years. I had to repeat that because it's so insane. It says the richest 1% have more wealth than the lowest 95% combined. I'd say taxing them 2% as a tax to try and fix the planet could be a good idea. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Bye-bye. People who are against electric cars, they're saying that brake dust is worse for your health than diesel emissions. They're using a recent study to claim that actually brake dust is going to kill you faster than diesel, and that's a good reason for why you shouldn't bother buying an electric car. This study is actually kind of ridiculous. It proves that electric cars are the solution here, because most people with electric cars don't really use their brakes. I don't think these haters actually understand that. Here's what Car Scoop said. Electric cars are hailed by many supporters as a key tool for reducing global warming, as well as making our air cleaner to breathe. But EVs are not the panacea some think they are. New research suggests brake dust, which is emitted by both EVs and ICE cars, is so toxic that it's more harmful than sucking up a lungful of rolling coal. Now, of course, people who are stupid will read this and think, yeah, told you electric cars are a bad idea. But obviously, that's because they don't understand what an electric car actually is or how people drive them. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching The Electric Viking. Great to have you with us. Let's get straight into it. Diesel cars, there's nothing you can do. Petrol, gasoline-powered cars, nothing you can do. The emissions that come out of the tailpipe and the emissions that come out of the tailpipe. But, of course, many people do remove those emissions filters from their vehicles. You can smell it when you're in your car. You can see it in the sky with diesel cars in particular. Very common, extremely common for people to remove their filters from their cars. And this study doesn't examine the true effects of the cars on the road today. So the majority of the cars on the road today pollute a huge amount of emissions come out of those exhausts. This is just comparing new, much more modern internal combustion engine cars, which, to be honest, usually they mislead you. I mean, why is it that almost every car brand in the world has been convicted of lying about the emissions from their cars, right? Nearly all of them have been convicted, come to settlements for lying about the emissions coming from their exhaust pipes. So the study's a little bit flawed to begin with from that.